You know, we can all, under our domain, like you see, like, It's probably something wrong. Even in the summertime, it doesn't matter. It gets perfect weather. Alrighty, so we're good to start. 1 p.m.
Nancy, I'll mention that Nancy's been trying to get here, and the roads just did not work for her. She's headed home now.
Okay.
She sent me some comments to share with you guys later.
Okay. Approval of agenda. Anyone over here to?
I have one addition, thought that after I had them all printed up. I'd like to add I have a proposed amendment to the bylaws.
Yep.
Where would that go? Between C and D, because I think D's going to take us a while to work through.
I move we accept the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
And approval of the minutes from October 11th. Anyone, there are 2 people that have read them? Fine with me.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Perfect. And state library report.
All right. Just not a lot's gone on, or not a lot has changed since the last time we met as far as status on these. We're working on all 4 of them. 3 of them are going to be a slightly slower process. Everybody has all their materials now. It's just a question of actually getting the materials into the catalog. But we are moving forward. We did a second data poll with Washington Carnegie actually this week because we had some issues with the initial data poll. But moving forward with that, we'll be doing some testing with the library very shortly. Since we met last, we held the Hackaway. It was the largest Hackaway to date, and I thought it went really well. They're coming back next year, so apparently they didn't hate it. It's a really fun group of people to be around. Sarah got to join us for a while. Ruth was able to attend the combination meeting. It was not just the developers. The oversight board, which actually oversees everything for Evergreen International, all but 1 member was able to attend, and they were able to hold some additional meetings to move some things forward for the international group as a whole. Amongst other things, there was discussion of the upcoming conference, which is in Covington, Kentucky, very soon. Registration is open. I'll be sending out that announcement and links and all of that in today's newsletter after we're done with this meeting. We're going to be talking about the conference more later, of course, with the scholarships. If you haven't participated in CERCS to date, phase 2 application window is now open. Anybody who signed up for the initial phase 1 but then had to postpone, who wants to move forward now, does need to reapply just so that they have paperwork confirming that you're now ready to go. We've actually ironed out a lot of the kinks for the Evergreen Library, so it should be a little easier if you pass the first round. And certainly with 60-odd active members, there are other people that you can reach out to, get ideas on how to adjust your workflow.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
On behalf of some non-Evergreen libraries? Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know how it's going for those who use Polaris?
I have not heard a lot from the Polaris libraries. Do they have INSIP yet?
I don't think so.
I think they're
remember.
testing for INSIP for Polaris. So right now you have to do everything twice. The TLC libraries, those that are participating, they have INSIP. They're developing INSIP books for Horizon, Cersei, and I know the other one that a lot of people are asking about, but I don't think there's any INSIP progress on is Follett. So.
And is there a deadline for this phase 2 app period?
January 31st. So I have not had a chance yet, but I would like to get some actual hard borrowing statistics and get those out to everybody for consideration. The libraries that, those of you who are already participating may be able to weigh in on this, but it doesn't seem like it's been terribly onerous for the Evergreen libraries that are participating. I know when I talked to Janet about it earlier, they said they got 2 or 3 items a week, which compared to their regular Evergreen load is not exactly overwhelming, but you guys have,
Yeah, it's, the transition period is kind of over for us. We're pretty comfy with it.
Good.
Getting a lot of, fair amount of stuff in.
We send a lot out. We don't really get a lot in, but we've not promoted the borrowing side of it.
We haven't promoted the borrowing side much either, but Jennifer can speak to that better, so.
And we've had some patrons utilize it, but we are still putting in the request at this point, just because I found it was kind of confusing for them. If it wasn't available in CERCs, they didn't understand like what the next step was. Whereas if I have everything right in front of me, then I know if it's on CERCs, I can go straight to interlibrary loan or whatnot. So I think it'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm sure we can teach patrons the steps.
Do you know of any Evergreen libraries that are kind of working together to roll out their borrowing side? Because I really don't know what to.
I would be interested in that also.
Yeah, just kind of a working group to get together and hash it out.
That helps where we left, I put up a laptop, there's a cert counter with certs on it. Made it so that it's confusing. I noticed it's confusing if it's default setting, you can do a search and there's nothing that comes up and tells you where to get it. So you can set it so that it says, if you do a search, it pops up and says you must be logged in to do a search, which sort of helps people, and then we can talk through at a search desk. And so it's helping folks to find it that way. So mediated because there's one of us that get them going. And once they show them once, they're fine. I think
to answer your question, no, I haven't heard of anybody actively doing it, but it seems like a really good idea.
Well, if anyone's interested, I would be more than happy to
I'd be willing to collaborate with anyone.
sit down and hash it out, figure out best practices and promoting, because we do not promote the borrowing side whatsoever. Lending, I mean, we lend tons of stuff. Borrowing, we really are not doing that too much.
Well, are there talks of, I know that not every Evergreen library is part of this, but I wish there was a way from the Evergreen catalog, if it wasn't available anywhere in Evergreen, for there to be some sort of, have you tried,
Yeah.
I know that's probably hard to make happen, but that would be very helpful.
It's something I've wanted to do.
It's on your long list.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
As long as you're hopeful, I mean.
We're optimistic.
Exactly.
All right, I'll put out a call to the community. Basically, we have people here in the room who are willing to collaborate,
Yep.
and I'm sure there are others out there who would benefit, so I'll put out a call. On the development project front, Authority Browse, I haven't heard anything further from Mass Lake, so presumably we are in the full development phase. We will be notified once testing is available. And with the user buckets, we have heard back. The tech specs have been approved, and testing is scheduled for Q1 in 2017. We don't have an exact window yet, but they have told us it will be in the new year. Authority control, we're continuing to work on that. We are in the middle of the limited freeze. The data testing is complete. Jocelyn sent off the paperwork to have them convert the rest of the records today, so we are slightly ahead of schedule. They've allowed a full week for us to get the testing done. We got it done in 3 days. So Sarah and Monica Boyer and Jocelyn and I all reviewed records after Jason got them uploaded, so I'm very excited. We should be on target to finish up on time and early. And they look really nice too.
They're very pretty.
Upgrade, of course, is in a couple of weeks, so there are going to be lots of blue shinies for the new year. You know, lovely records, new features. Live trainings are this week. I'll have a video out by next week, possibly before then, depending on how the rest of my week goes. And there's a lot of fun new stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing how our patrons like it and how staff like it. Some of you may remember, we talked about this last spring, the Zafira bib frame project, and we have moved forward with that. And right now, all of the EI data has been loaded, and it's currently in a testing interface. And Jason said he would give you an update on it. So,
Okay, so currently you can't find this because Google can't find it. They're waiting on us to tell them it's all right and actually publish it. So, let's see. What you will actually see in most Google results are the work records. So I'll just find something here. We will clean up these unknown labels. I've got an idea what that's about. So we've got a lot of titles with dates. Let's pick a census. So this is where you'll end up if you follow a Google search result to a title. And you can see the various parts of the title and the author and things like that. They can click on the subject and various headings here to see more of our holdings. Or, let's see, I have not looked at this interface a lot today, so let's learn together.
for the record, we got it today.
Yes, so this is, just got the email this morning. So if you click on In Library and then the name here, it takes you straight to our catalog record. So you can place your hold or search the catalog, either way. And so the point of this is that it is feeding all of these various things to Google's search engine in such a way that they can make use of it. And it's sort of like the Wikipedia pullouts on the right side of the search results page. The hope is it'll say, oh, you're in Indiana, just track where you're from when you search, whether you know it or not. And they'll say, oh, this book title you're looking for is at 4 of these libraries nearby. And then you can go place a hold or go to the library and read it, even if you can't check it out, look at it on a table or something. So that's the real basic 50,000-foot view of it. Wendy, did you want to add anything?
That's good. Yeah, we're just trying to get it so that search engines know what libraries are and what library data is. So this is a good first step. We're among the first statewide groups doing it. Did Michigan beat us or did Georgia beat us?
I know,
Dang
Georgia did.
Georgia beat us. But
They were in the same situation we were. It's really
I know,
centralized
they were the
catalog.
easy ones like us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michigan's doing an in-reach thing, and I don't know when that'll be ready.
Yeah. So, but it's exciting.
Okay.
So MCLS is going to be doing the linked data conference in multiple locations, and I hope there's interest from the Evergreen group to be involved in that meet.
Is that March 16?
Something.
March
May as well at least watch, because I've been told I'll be in it, so.
He's so excited.
So we're targeting release for January or February, actually opening up.
Yeah, definitely. We want to get it.
So
I think they can publish it like next week.
If it's good to go, that's,
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be better to do it before midwinter if we could, so. All right,
okay.
plan's done.
Yeah. Speaking of when I said you can tell where you're at, we are feeding them all the addresses of every branch. So that's how Google can tell where these books are and that they're close to you. So I know here on the right, you can see all the different kinds of things that are indexing. I don't know offhand the difference between an agent and a person. I'm sure it's something. So, any other questions anyone's got, or you're just happy that it's going to do something? Okay.
Anything that drives traffic to a library.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Thank you.
All right. That should drop soon, and we may be very much more popular with Google than we are now. And since we met last, we did go ahead and implement the audiobook news cert mod. And I ran the numbers right before the meeting started. We have 180 of them across the consortium. So it's not a huge uptick just yet, but it is in use. I have seen cert mods with none before, so we're making progress. Just want to give everybody a heads up on some upcoming appeals. We're going to need people to participate in the annual conference, so please be thinking about that. Be soliciting committee nominees. We'll have vacancies on all of the committees. And then it's that time of year to send out the bills. Nobody's favorite part of the new year, but they should be in the mail the last week in December, so. All right.
Do you have any reports from?
So from the cataloging committee, we've had one member resign from the committee, Shelley Lessandrini from Westfield. So we have an opening on the cataloging committee for the new year. Shelley had served on the committee since the founding of the committee, so she had certainly put in her time. For the recertification for Cat 1 status, we decided to move the window for that up to March. We're not going to be starting in January. We want to do that so that we can include information about the latest Evergreen upgrade as well as information about the authority's cataloging. So it'll still be a 6-month window for people to take the recertification. It'll just be starting in March this year. That's the main news from the cataloging committee.
Do we have anything else? Anybody?
No. Okay. Got any content? You ready? Yeah. I was waiting for your nod, Scott. Oh, no. Just a few quick things from the committee. We had, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, on YouTube. Not long ago, we had 42,000 in unspent funds for this year. We are now down to 17,500, so lots of progress on that front. The new Overdrive interface, we're getting reports that there's negative feedback, but it's rather nebulous. It's just my patrons don't like it. There's no description to that, so.
It looks different. That's what everybody says to me.
If you've
It
got
looks
some
different.
things to add for that, please, we would like to know.
Yeah, I
the
had
details.
one of those. I hate everything about it. Okay.
And that's helpful how? I mean,
Yeah.
so we're getting that kind of stuff, but no one's really
Right.
identifying what it is that they don't like.
One thing I did find that people do is they click on the teen and young adult collection, and then the next time they bring up Overdrive, it starts out in the teen and young adult, and they can't figure out how to get back to the main collection. I've had more than one person get stuck there. So just my 2 cents.
There's a detail right there.
Yeah. That was the one concrete thing I could get from the one person who made everything about it, and I was able to walk her through.
I have a concrete thing that probably people don't like. That before it would save your username and
Yes.
login, and you'd be logged in automatically, and now it will only save your username. And so that's a privacy feature, but probably it annoys people because I know it kind of annoys me.
Especially on a device.
Right, so that you have to log in every time, and so that's
Yeah.
probably something that people don't like.
Anna did tell us that circulation at this point is about 55,000 over what it was in 2015, so that's great news for
So
over.
we can't be hating it too much.
So we did have a vendor from Dear Reader present on their platform after he concluded, and we made sure we were disconnected. We felt that Wowberry is a much better product all around to accomplish what he was trying to do with his. So that was the meeting in a nutshell. We're meeting again in February on Valentine's Day.
Monty, what was that? The person that you talked to?
It was a gentleman, his name was Bob Russell from dearreader.com. And
I am going to go ahead and get the pricing for anybody that's interested. But yeah, seemed like the consensus of the committee, but by and large, people were quite happy with their Wildberry subscriptions where they have them. We do have several members who already have subscriptions to Dear Readers, so my goal is to see if we can help
We've used
come up
their
with a
online
cost-cutting
book
option.
clubs for years, and it's nice, it's cheap. But I remember the product you're talking about is similar to a Wildberry type thing that talks about new books, and I agree, I think just much simpler platform and really does a nice job.
well, Wowberry is about $300 a year, and then Dear Reader was close to $1,000 for us.
Yeah, it was a lot more
It's
expensive.
a lot more expensive.
And I think the first time I looked at it too, they couldn't figure out how to just show my library's items
And they
too.
still haven't figured it out.
Okay, well, that makes a big difference then.
Yeah, that's actually why we dropped it, because it was,
Yeah.
well, that was one of the two reasons why. It was telling our patrons that there were items that we had that we
Didn't have,
didn't
yeah.
have
Okay.
and would not have had.
Mhm.
So, that's it for our committee report.
We need to talk to the library, I haven't figured that out for them.
Okay, unfinished business, certainly.
Hold on, wait. Patron services.
I'm sorry.
Patron services, just real, we haven't met since the last EC meeting, so there's really not much new. We are still working on the cert refresher course. Britta has a few more videos to complete, so she's hoping to have that done by next week when we meet Tuesday at Greenwood. Other than that, really, we don't have much of anything. I attended the central roundtable, and really the only patron service issue that we talked about was barcode placement, and I think that was discussed a lot. So that's about it.
Okay. Now, unfinished business circulation matrix.
Actually, the updated version should not have circulation matrix on it because I couldn't come up with anything changing that circulation matrix. I didn't have any unfinished business, as a matter of fact. Unless someone else does. And you're right, it was on the original one that I sent out because I forgot to take it off.
New members.
Yes, we have in Class A. I would like to join us. Newcastle, Henry County. The really fun thing about this is we accept your application. We'll be bringing the entire county on. To date, only Middleton Fall Creek has been an Evergreen member, but now with Knightstown, Newcastle, and Spiceland all joining by the end of next spring, we could have the entire county. Awesome. Evergreen. So very exciting stuff. Winnie's very enthused. I went and did a demo with them last summer. And they're weeding with enthusiasm in preparation for it. And should be good.
Awesome.
Assuming you approve their application.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
I move we accept the application of Newcastle Henry County Public Library to join Evergreen, Indiana.
And I'll second that.
Okay. So moved.
And voted upon.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed?
Okay, this is where I get to do some fun math. Now that the numbers are out for what it's going to cost to attend the conference in Kentucky, we did budget $5,000 against the cost of providing scholarships to the event. I tried to be generous with these numbers. 3 nights stay at the hotel plus registration for the full conference comes up to like $675. So that's very close to covering the full cost of the conference. Single day is $125 to attend. Then there's a little money against travel. And the pre-conference day is $80 with $20 against travel. So those are my proposed levels for applicants to submit against. It's up to you to decide whether you want to do that, whether you just want to offer full scholarships.
So we have, this $5,000 budget is just for scholarships?
So what we're deciding is how many scholarships and at what amount level?
Actually,
I mean, the amount level will determine how
the
many.
amount level is probably the thing I really need a decision on, because when we get the applications in, then you can choose to how you want to actually allocate the money.
And last year we only had two
Two applicants.
applicants. But of
Yes.
course, the conference was farther away.
North Carolina. This
This would give us over 7 full conferences. I think it would be amazing if we had 7 people apply for full conference.
I do too.
I don't think it'd be
and
out of the realm of possibility either.
Yeah.
yeah, I would be surprised. That's part of why I really wanted to include an option for 1-day attendance.
Mhm.
The pre-conferences, those are interesting. You get to go and there's a session in the morning and a session in the evening. So that's why it's that much cheaper for anyone who wants to go to the pre-conference than the conferences. But I was thinking the 1-day tickets actually could be very useful. We are soliciting programs that are appropriate for frontline staff. So this is not just a conference for developers and IT people. This is very much about how we actually make the software work on a day-to-day basis.
I think we should advertise it that these are the 3 options available and that the number of scholarships given will be determined by the number of applicants. And keep those dollar amounts that Anna has suggested. I think it may be encouraging to people who might be thinking, well, I could probably go for a day, but maybe they'd apply for the full conference. Or people who just want to go down for a day if they think they can get it paid for.
Yeah, people who have, who are close and have, but don't feel like they can allocate that amount of time.
Or they can take away that much for time from work, yeah.
Well, if we did 6 fulls, that's 3,900.
Mhm.
We could divide.
Like I said, we may get only 3 people who want a full conference, but we may get 5 who want a 1-day ticket, so. I don't think we should limit at this point how many.
See what we get.
I think we should see what we get application-wise.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Me too.
Any,
Anna, where's the venue, or what is the venue?
It's the Marriott. They're in Covington. It's Riverside. Actually, let me pull up our website.
is registration open yet?
Yes.
Okay.
When does registration close?
Either until they run out of spaces or right up until, now there are early bird discounts,
Okay.
which,
I'm just trying to think scholarship-wise when we need people to apply and.
well, that's part of why I wanted to get this out right away. The actual, we won't close on what the proposals for presentations are until mid-January. So I know for some people, it's just not an option to plan on going to a conference when they've got no idea what the subject matter is going to be, particularly if you're trying to decide whether or not you want to attend the whole thing or one day. We'll be turning those around as quickly as possible, but.
When does like early registration end?
Early registration ends on Marriott, Cincinnati, River City is the actual location. The block rooms are $138 a night. Early bird sales in February 1. But when I proposed the scholarship prices, it was assuming that they wouldn't be able to make the decision until after regular prices were in effect. So it's not a huge markup, but if someone knows deep down, this is a conference they have to go to this year, they can go ahead and get registered and take advantage of your labor pricing.
Somebody needs to submit a proposal, but wants to have an idea that they might be able to be funded to go.
Yeah, I think there's only subsidies. Evergreen, the organization, is providing subsidies for pre-conference presenters. I don't think there's one for
Right. Not for, that's right.
So the good news is, with the amount of money that we have, with everything else that goes on in spring, it's probably a fair bet that people apply for one day at least, it will be in solid shape, because we can split up a lot of one days out of that much money.
Are there any Kentucky libraries that are on Evergreen?
Kenton County, which is the hosting agency here. That's the public library. Then Asbury College and Asbury Theological Seminary also are on Evergreen. And they're also participating as hosts.
And the Ohio Consortium of
Cool.
Consortium of Ohio Libraries.
For people that are interested, are we asking the same basic thing they did last year for scholarships?
Does that work with the application from last year? Those of you who saw it?
Fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you need a motion on this as a whole or separate parts, or how do you want to do it? I need one for the application process, one for the.
If you want to motion that we use the same application process last year with the levels defined, I think that probably covers it. And then once we get applications in, it's up to you guys to take a look.
If there's any other discussion, we have one motion. Shall we accept the as proposed?
I'll move what Anna said.
I'll
As
second.
proposed.
Yes.
Second.
I'll move, yeah, I'll second.
So moved.
It is a really fun conference. If you haven't been before, I was surprised.
Were we gonna go back to profile permissions?
No, it's what, always
Regional
around.
meetings.
Oh, sorry. All in favor of
Yes.
That motion.
yes?
Aye.
Against? Okay. So did you want to go to? Okay.
Okay. We went every place, talked to lots of people. Unfortunately, we didn't talk to as many people as I would have liked. Total attendance ended up being under 100 this year. And that was a lot of travel for everybody involved, for that kind of numbers. So we've been discussing it, in part actually influenced by one of the sessions Jocelyn and Sarah and I attended. I think you were there, at the last Evergreen International Annual Conference. And want to propose transition to an every other year schedule for the meetings. And then in the alternate year, the admin team will actually travel and visit each of the libraries so that everybody has a chance to ask us questions, voice concerns, what have you, face to face, show us what they're working with as far as our buildings are concerned. Because I know that as part of my travels in the last year, particularly as I've been demoing, I've been getting to parts of the state that I hadn't been in before. And I've been stopping in at libraries and meeting directors that I've never heard before. And I've been involved with Evergreen now for 8 years. And so I know for some libraries, it's just not an option to get away. They don't have enough staff to keep the doors open if the director has to leave. So they're doing this in one of the consortia in Massachusetts. Their executive director made a commitment to visit every one of the libraries. And they said there it worked really well because it gave people a chance to really get up close and personal and explain what was really important to them without with much less concern about peer pressure or having to speak at a meeting or any of those things. Not to mention, we get to actually see what you're working with. Like I say, it's amazing what a difference your physical setup plays in how your library runs and the challenges you face. I ran the numbers roughly. I think it can be done with about 20 to 25 days out of the office. We'll be able to hit every place in the state within the calendar year. It will be spread out over the course of the year rather than being all in the fall. But probably not, the dead of January. So this committee, came up with the regional roundtables in the first place and approved them. So I'd like you're okay to try this at least in 2017, and then of course, with the new standards in place, then in 2018, the roundtables will be LAU eligible, and hopefully that will help as well.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
I move that we accept the regional roundtable schedule as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, this is where my insertion was. I've been talking to a lot of libraries that are interested in migrating. And one of the things I'm actually hearing from some libraries is they can't afford to come on to Evergreen because they can't afford the exit fees from their current ILS. It can be really impressively punitive to try to exit, particularly if they are cloud-based, which we essentially are. Now, when we amended the bylaws a few years ago, everyone was still fully subsidized for everything. Now that we have the membership fee in place, I would like to propose that we revisit the exit fee clause and consider transitioning to something more along the lines of an equivalency with an additional membership fee, annual membership fee cost. They would still be covering the cost of their subsidy for that year in that case. And obviously they wouldn't be able to pop in and out and change their mind 6 months down the line and say, oh, we changed mind, we went back in. But right now, it's a flat rate of $5,000. And if we do have a smaller member that, for whatever reason, feels the need to leave, I'd rather not be. I would like us to be seen as reasonable.
Can you give me an exact example of a fee?
one of the libraries I've been talking to is gonna cost them $26,000 to exit their current ILS.
So what, like your proposal up here looks like it says it would be equal to membership fee,
Yes.
but then you said with an addition? Did I hear it correct? Or it would just be, their exit fee would be equal to their 1 year membership?
Yes. Sorry.
So we
With a
would be
minimum
raising
of,
it for the larger libraries then.
sorry?
Larger libraries whose current membership fee is more than $5,000. So we would be raising the exit fee for those larger libraries. Not that I have any intentions of leaving or anything, I just want to make that clear.
Could we,
we could put a cap on it as well.
Okay.
I mean, this is something we're defining as we go, so we set it at the $5,000 to start with because that was even across the board. But
Well, how many are above 5,000?
there are about a dozen libraries.
So it could be the 1 year or 5,000, you know,
Or maximum of
maximum of
5,000.
5,000, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that being reasonable.
And incidentally, that was one of the things that one of the libraries that actually voted against the bylaws amendment when we made it, and that was their board's objection, was that the exit fee was too high. They were fine with everything else we were changing at that point, including approving the membership fee. They were fine with that, but they thought the exit fee was too high. So this does revisit some of the earlier concerns. Sorry, I got you.
no, I was just gonna say, as part of this amendment, do we want to, or is it possible to add a clause or a statement that says, once you've exited, that you can't rejoin for a certain period of time? Like you're saying, you don't want people to go in and out.
Yeah, because that's expensive, and I wanted to make sure you guys were interested in this at all to start with, because it's a lot of paperwork to get the bylaws amendments going, and there's a lot of education that has to be done. Each of you will have to reach out to libraries and talk to them. But yes, having a moratorium on how long between when they could come back if they chose to, and a second round migration could not be subsidized. They would have to pay their migration costs to return.
Like that.
I think that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I can work something up then and have some language for you to take a look at in February.
So it's gonna make us more attractive to other libraries. That's a very small, I think,
Yeah.
move. I don't see why we wouldn't want to do that to accommodate. Have we had anyone leave? No. Okay, I didn't think we had, but I was just curious if that had ever come up.
I mean, what our actual cost, the Evergreen, the consortium's actual cost of a library leaving is basically removing their records from the database, which.
It's not much of our time, really.
Okay.
It's
With the like migration time.
It's easier to remove them and to migrate someone new.
You've got,
Yeah.
it's kind of, has to kind of be a phased process because they're going to have materials out.
Mhm.
Their patrons are going to have stuff from your libraries.
Yeah.
It's not something that's going to happen
It's not like-
overnight.
Jason just flips the switch and says, okay, all your records are gone. So,
Gotcha.
And that's how easy the actual data is.
Yeah.
But, that's the
But
least
the physical
important
part of it is part of it, yeah, okay.
That there's a, like, you'd have to have a period of time where their libraries, their patrons can't borrow and vice versa.
Yeah.
So we're saying, exit fee 1 year, capped at 5,000?
Yeah, a minimum of
All agree with
500 and a maximum of 5,000.
Okay.
Okay. And the second thing was, you're saying if they want to come back,
We need, well, that's one thing we.
Yeah, how long would they have to wait? I guess that's up to us to decide.
37 years.
Well, right now our exit terms are 180 days.
6 months. So they could leave site after 6 months, that, hey, we want to come back.
Would 2 years be unreasonable?
In what, like,
It's kinda
it's
arbitrary.
hard to imagine somebody like after 6 months wanting to come back, because like, you're gonna have to migrate to a different ILS, and you're probably gonna have a contract with them, and like,
Yeah.
it's more likely if they're gonna come back, it's gonna be like 3 years later.
Well, at least a year.
But we have
Yeah.
to put something out there.
Unless they decide to migrate to like Koha, and they're on their own, and then I guess they could say, whoa, this is a disaster, and we can't handle doing
Or
this
they could do
ourselves,
their
and we
own
want back
Evergreen
now.
setup without being part of the consortium.
Yeah, same situation where you're
Same.
migrating to doing
You're
it on
gonna
your own.
pull people in and, I mean, you're not just gonna, if the library wants to come on, they just can't say, all right, we're going next week or something. You guys have certain times where you can.
It takes comfortably, without a lot of panic, it takes at least 4 months to bring someone in right now anyway.
Okay. So,
But the question is, at what point would you be willing to accept an application?
right,
Mhm.
right.
Because once we have the application, we start spending money, we start spending time.
Mhm.
So I think the 6 months is good because then there'd be another 4. In other words, maybe some language like 6 months, but if you're not, when you are pulling people in next after that 6 month period, if that makes any sense. Not like 6 months, one day, you're compelled to, they can get on your schedule to migrate after 6 months.
They could reapply, I think, at 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And so then it takes the next meeting of the executive council before we approve your application. And
I guess I'm just hard-hearted. I don't think this sucker.
Really think about why they left.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking whatever wording goes into this
Yeah.
would be part of that library's consideration when they're considering leaving. They would have to think about, okay, if we just say 6 months, it might be easier for them to say, oh, well, we could come back if we don't like it.
Yeah, but I definitely like the idea too, that they have to pay for all their migration costs. They
Right.
get one free, just like they're getting your library card, get the first one free. After that, you gotta pay.
So 4 parts. One is the minimum of 500, maximum of 5,000.
Yeah.
Second is can reapply after 6 months, and they'll need to pay migration, migration costs. Is that what we're all saying? Is
I
everyone?
kind of feel like the 6 months needs to be longer, but
I
I'm
agree
just-
with you.
I
Yeah,
think it needs to be a longer period of
At least a
time.
year. I'm thinking at
I
least
like
a year.
when we said 2.
2?
I think 2 years is reasonable. Then you have to really be sure you want out before you get out.
Or come back?
Or come back, yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Is there any, okay, so 2 years, is there any discussion against that? Anyone has any issues with it?
And I'm thinking if you're leaving, like Sarah is saying, you're
Right,
signing a contract with someone else that's probably at least a
Yeah.
2-year contract.
right. I'm not, yeah, I'm agreeing, that's probably gonna be a non-issue.
Unless you're going with the self-hosting, that's,
Right.
and to be clear, I wasn't trying to cast aspersions on Koha. That that the library might not have realized the challenges
Right.
involved in self-hosting.
Yes.
Right.
That's it. We can have another,
Right.
self-hosted as an evergreen.
Exactly.
But if there's no argument against the 2 years, I'm on personal level, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Is there anyone, any reservations about 2 years?
My only other comment would be if we stated that they could reapply at 1 year, after 1 year, they still would not be able to come in until the application got approved and they got on the schedule. So then we're talking 18 months before they were able to get back in. So I'm fine with 2 years, but I think 1 is probably acceptable with all of the steps we would have to go through to get them back in. So either's okay with me.
We've got some time to think about it, right? Because you'll bring language in
Yeah, I'm gonna
February.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
draft this before.
Is there anything you need a motion for at this point?
No, just consensus that you're okay with me moving forward with writing it up.
Okay.
And what the input that you want me to take away, so I'm hearing 2 years and 1 year right now. I'll write it up for 2 years, we can keep talking about it. Okay.
So disciplinary action.
That's been pulled from the agenda because the situation has been resolved.
Okay. Is there any, are you missing any new business?
Just the permission now.
Okay, no good. So,
Okay,
yeah,
as you know, well, you won't know the background. A few weeks back, we pulled permission from the local admin profile. And it was met with some dismay in the community. We actually have really good reasons for this. We had a series of tickets where that privilege was being abused by staff members and creating really awful help desk ticket issues that we were trying to deal with. And since it was not actually an administrative function, we were trying to head off any more of them. We had several all in a row. And it was not handled as well as we would have liked. We did not anticipate how many people were not following policy until people started speaking up. So I re-released the permission sets to everyone so that you could see. And as promised, I'd like to review everything with you today that we would like to update as part of the upgrade. Our goal is not actually to remove any more permissions than we have to, but we have several things at work here. One, some permissions have been applied sporadically and confusingly over the years, and it's not consistent. So part of the goal here is to standardize how the permissions are issued to the various categories. We have issues with minimum training standards, where it is in policy that there must be training for certain things. We do require that everyone follow the principle of least privilege, which means if you don't need the fire hose, use the garden hose. And there are a few things that are explicitly listed in our policies as only available to specific profiles. So that's what we're trying to work with. Not completely revamp how everybody has to do their work, but hopefully this will be understandable. And let me actually, before I get started, read you Nancy's letter. The cataloging policy states it was adopted in December 9th, 2014, but the change wasn't made till now. The policy actually does not give Cat 2's permission to delete holdings either. Permissions grid does not give local admin permission to add holdings. I completely understand adding and deleting as cataloging permission. I just don't think it's exclusively a cataloging task. Deleting is weeding, and that falls into other categories as well. I'm frustrated with permissions repeatedly being taken away from local admin. It seems that profile should have more permissions. Long ago, I tried to set up a separate login for my assistant that gave up because I just couldn't find anything that did everything we needed. Currently, the Cat 1 override does not seem to be working from item status to delete items. More importantly, I'm frustrated by changes implemented without discussion or notice. I think going forward, this is understood and will be addressed at the meeting today. Thank you, Nancy. So, we did talk over the permission sets with the cataloging committee, and there are going to be some updates to their procedures and policies as well to be a little more specific, I think, in responsibilities. But from the top, it's kind of hard to tell in the black and white, but the lighter gray ones are scope changes. So in the general permission set, we want to transition copy not available override from branch across all the profiles to consortium. Not entirely sure whether all this is branch in the first place. Probably was a stock permission that we want to update. There are no changes to the rest of the generals, no changes to the first page of admin. Second page of admin, the update patrons collections exempt is still applied to the cataloging group. It should not be. Under policy, only local admins are allowed to make that call. So we want to strike that from the cataloging group. It's not in particularly wide use. We may have 2 or 3 patrons across consortium right now that are actually exempt, but I would like that to be consistent with policy.
So that should be which, I'm sorry?
The update patron collections exempt should only be applied to, on the system level, to the local admin account.
Okay.
The cat ones will be stricken. Then it's final entry on this page for me. I have a slightly different version, but void billing is currently listed as system. We need to boot that up to consortium because we have discovered it's tied to the patron's home library and not the owning libraries. So we need libraries that actually own the materials to be eligible to void bills.
I don't think anyone is supposed to be voiding bills.
Unique still likes it,
Oh,
lost items that.
gotcha. I can find people that can't do it, so.
Well, if you're the only one that can, it's up to
Yeah,
you
it's
how
up
to
to
do
you. Okay.
All right. Then moving on to the cataloging permissions. Copy, delete, warning, override. We want to strip this from local admin and Cat 2s. The reason for this is it's also caused us significant issues, actually, since the delete was taken away, because we have had individuals delete copies that were still checked out to patrons and other such situations, which creates quite a mess, as you can imagine.
I'm not entirely sure even Cat 1 needs this permission because it's to override deleting something in a particular, that's in a given status. And if you really want to delete it, you just need to change the status to the appropriate status to delete it. And so that's like you're consciously going, okay, I want to delete this. This is in this wrong status. I'm changing it to the status I need to delete it. So it's like that serves as an override. It like you can still delete the item even if you can't override it.
The issue with this one is lost items. The only way to make it not lost is checking it, which you don't want to do.
Okay. Fair.
I mean, I don't think that's ideal. It'd be nice if it only applied to.
Lost items.
But yeah, it's just kind of broad.
So what you're saying is this is a development issue?
Potentially.
When does this happen? Okay, I'm guessing I'm a little confused. So if I'm weeding
Uh-huh.
and I want to delete items,
Mhm.
is this when this would come up?
Yes.
Or- okay.
But only like it's more likely to come up when you're doing cleanup of stuff that like, say you have stuff that's lost or stuff that's long overdue or things like that. It's more like, because if you're weeding, most of the time the items aren't gonna be in it. And,
Right. I'm usually see that holding it in front of me.
right.
Yeah, well, if something you're getting ready to weed something because nobody's checked it out, and it turns out it's because it's been in transit for 6 years sitting on your shelf, so nobody could see it, nobody could target it.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna wanna just check it in, and having that warning, that stop in place without it being a simple override, hopefully would cue
Okay.
the correct
So I'm
action.
trying to delete something that's been in transit and this is gonna pop up saying, warning, this item.
The warning, but status is bad.
Status is
delete,
bad, yeah.
Something like that.
Are you really sure?
Yeah.
And people are still clicking okay.
Okay, gotcha.
that's where
And then
the
the
issues are.
things happen when you delete an item that's
Checked out to
checked out.
someone, and it's actually checked out to someone.
Gotcha. Okay, understand.
Or sitting on someone else's hold shelf waiting to be checked out to someone.
Okay.
All right, create authority import queue. We discussed it. The cataloger said they don't really need that one. So we're gonna take that one off. Because right now we are managing all of the authority record imports centrally. We can always add it again if at some point we start doing something very different with authority control. Create import item. We want to increase that from branch to system because we do have a lot of catalogers who are working with systems, not just single branches. And the same then for delete import item.
Skipped create copy.
Sorry.
Create copy. Skipped because it's.
Create copy. Oh, yes. Yes. For consistency's sake, since we're requiring training to manage deletions, we are asking that the same be applied to creating items. This is a lot harder to read in black and white. I apologize. Merge authority records. Drop it from Cat 2 and Cat 3 because they don't have permission now to merge bib records, and raise it to consortium level for Cat 1s. Merging bib records, pulling that from local admin since that is a cataloging function. Promote Z3950 query, raising Cat 2s up to consortium level. For update container, adding the system level permission for Cat 2s so the Cat 2s can edit buckets. And depending on how the new user bucket interface comes up, we may be adding that permission to the CERC profiles as well later this spring. We'll have to see how that actually, what permissions are required there. Update container. Oh, nope, I just said that one. I'm repeating myself. Update volume and volume update. They're both there on the next page. Right now, they're both listed at consortium level. It's really only necessary at the system level. Catalogers should not be changing each other's call numbers or other libraries' call numbers. And then viewing container, making sure that it's available on a consortium level across the board with catalogers and local admins. Again, container permissions will be revisited next spring.
Did we miss the update cop volume on local admin? So is that intentionally left there?
Volume update. I don't think we talked about it, so it's been missed, yes.
That would be one that.
Does it make any full sense right now? Oh, okay. All right, so changing both update volume and update, or volume update to strictly catalogers. All right, circulation. Copy status lost and paid override. About halfway down the page. For right now, local admin, Cat 1, and CERC 2 have consortium level, and CERC 1 only has system. I want to raise that to consortium level. It should be a non-issue since lost and paid items are deleted, but want to make sure that that's consistent. Item deposit required override, raise that to consortium level for local admins. For item on hold shelf override, raise all of the CERC users to system level. For place unfillable hold, add the permission to both Cat 1 and local admin. And then request holds override, add the consortium level to Cat 1s. And then I have one that I hadn't noted. I wanted to talk to you about it briefly, see what your thoughts were. But update hold request time, adding that permission to Cat 2s. So if they're handling a backlog of requests, they can actually put in an accurate hold request date. And then the one that I wanted to chat with you about is unbarring patron. Right now, local admins can do it on a consortium level. And I was curious if that was something you felt should be retained, or if this is something that is starting to tread on sovereignty. Because I can see where it would be very handy. You have someone who's barred just because they have fines. They come into your library. It's not their home library. They pay off their fines. You can unbar them. They go on their merry way. And it's happening again. But you do say that only the barring library is supposed to lift a bar. That may be something that we actually need to revisit in the policy.
Yes,
I know we've run across patrons that are barred for no reason. I mean,
Very minuscule reason.
or no reason you can even tell from the record. You know, they're barred, but there's no note, there's no fine, there's no. And so that always results in a call to the barring library. You know, and a whole lot of like, I don't know why they're barred. Oh. And sometimes it's our patrons too. People are calling us. I'm like, I don't know.
They got in trouble several years ago, so.
Yeah, and maybe they paid everything off, but they never got unbarred. Who knows? But,
yeah, unless you uncheck. I've come across that.
yeah.
Unless you.
Check.
Yeah, and that could be that. It could be that simple. Or,
Right. Yeah. So I don't. I think as courtesy, I still think you should contact the barring library. But it sure would be nice, you know, if it's some small library somewhere and they're not open, and I've got a patron with no obvious reason why their account's barred, for me to have to turn them away and say, sorry, Clayton's closed today. I can't get a hold of anyone.
I mean, we could, to your point,
Mhm.
I called Monty one time. Yeah. We had a book from your library, we worked it out with Monty.
Yeah.
Said, yeah, go ahead, just. But yeah, from your point, I think a courtesy call is generally
Yeah.
nice.
Not everyone.
But, you know, then the flip side of that is it's not unreasonable to expect that if someone is barred,
Mhm.
you should put a note in.
Yeah.
Or I find putting an alert screen message is
Yeah.
the most helpful because it pops right up in your face and some people forget to go on their notes. So you could make the argument that, well, you know, you didn't bother to put any
Yeah.
note here and you're closed and so,
Right.
you know.
But could you have patrons that are, that like, especially with newer libraries, that they've been barred for, 2 years, and so there's no note because it was from their previous
Could be.
system?
Yeah.
It's true, just carried over.
Yeah.
Oh, barred
They're
from
barred,
the, like.
right,
taking it
they've
from
been barred for
BYLAWS.
3 years, they just came into Evergreen last year, and they're barred because, they ran and flashed through the library, and everybody knows why they're barred.
Right. So hypothetically, you were a CERC
Mhm.
or a TLC library and you had it's been so long since we've been somewhere else, if they call it barred or whatever they call it, that just floats right in, like, kind of like grocery for fines, is that how it?
We do bar patrons in some situations, I think it depends on the system. If it's just max fines, of course, usually it just comes over as a max fine.
Right.
But I think a lot of our old notes when we were TLC transferred over to as alerts and
And
Evergreen.
we do bring over as many of the notes as we can.
Yeah. So I mean, if there was an instance like Sarah said that note usually carried over as an alert.
I will warn you though, some of the systems we're pulling data out of right now
No.
don't have room for notes because they're very simple interfaces.
We stripped our notes out from TLC.
I think we did, yeah. So I know a lot of our old like billing notes and things.
But as we move, bless you, as we move forward, I mean, can that be part of policy that if you do mark a card barred, if you mark a patron barred, that a note is required?
It's already recommended procedure. Yep. So I think it's better to leave this one as is for now.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, if
for-
they can actually be brought in as barred from an old system, and, there's no way, I mean, you're not gonna go through the library, every single patient record and figure out,
So do I understand this right, that the consortium, that local admins can still unbar a patron, even if it's from,
Another line later.
like, okay.
Yeah.
So instead of, I am able to.
Yeah,
able
as a
to call
local
up,
admin, but my cert people can't. I think I'm
Right.
okay with that.
But you can call up and they can say, yeah, go ahead, unbar them.
And what's the policy say?
Policy said it's up to the barring library to remove the bar.
So we have to amend that too if we wanted to. That policy.
Well, that's why I said we could revisit that, since the permissions currently are a little more lenient. But, again, part of the idea, and this goes back to what Nancy mentioned, and that is the whole point of having a local admin is that they are able to rise above certain situations.
I think I'm okay with leaving this permission as is, but I think possibly we need to make a change in our policy that says that local admins do have this ability. But again, as courtesy would dictate that you need to at least attempt to contact the barring library.
Yeah.
Before doing so.
Yeah. Well, if it's, really never know, sometimes they can't legally put notes in things.
Sometimes you put things in code.
We've had a situation with a neighboring system where there have been some really ridiculous, in my opinion, ridiculous reasons why certain people are barred and whatnot. I let them use mine. I think it's dumb. I just let them use it because I know enough about some decisions and patrons that may be shared between that I don't enforce necessarily that bar because
Can you
There
give an
may-
example of a reason?
there may
that
be
they would
personality
barring
conflicts with, and I've had that, that I get along great with this particular patron. We had a great rapport, but at another location years ago,
Not so much.
and I'm not going to enforce that bar for that patron at my location because I know a little bit about, the way it all kind of.
Personality.
That's hard, but it already bothers
I don't
me.
think it's hard. You're
Well, I mean, and we've actually barred people, I won't tolerate people in a certain way.
Exactly, I agree. Being abusive.
Yeah.
But to me, that usually is going to be more than just barring them from checking
Right.
materials out. I'm going to ban them from my library.
Yeah, this happened years ago. It's not been something recent. It's been many, many years ago. We had that on Evergreen all that long.
Bans. That's only because of nudity. Or breaking the
Well,
law.
that gets
Yeah,
dicey. I mean, so
yeah.
in one of the hypotheticals, you call up the library and
Yeah,
say, as you point out, say, hey, this person is here, and they say, no, I don't like him, so
yeah.
Yeah.
they tell you they don't want the bar lifted. Okay, now you're in the situation where you're disagreeing.
But I guess the way I look at it, it's my building, my
What's your
facility. I'm
materials?
responsible for what goes on in
Yeah.
my building. Yeah, I did not enforce the ban. I just thought it was ridiculous.
So could you all then check items out and then put the bar back on? Correct?
Well,
And that way, if they went back to the library who had barred them, they still have the option of
and
that.
actually, let me think about it, because it may have been back when we still had a lot of reciprocal borrowing going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could
That could have been.
Yeah,
maybe
lift
bar
it,
that.
check out, and
Now
rebar
that I
it.
think about
And
it.
I'd definitely put a note in there saying, hey, I let them.
Because one circumstance that we bar patrons want, say we have a family and mom now owes us $200.
Right. And it
And
goes-
dad owes us $200. But what we'll frequently do is we'll bar the children's accounts with an alert saying that this account's limited to 3 age-appropriate materials at a time, so that only the child is able to use their card, and we'll bar the account. When the kid they come in, we unbar the account, we check the materials out, we rebar it. Mainly because of abuse on the parents' side, where, if we unbar that kid's account, they're gonna check out 10 movies and 12 Danielle Steele novels and 50 Shades of Grey, and before you know it, the kid's account's, banned too. In a case like that, if they came to your library, I wouldn't care if you unbarred and checked out as many materials as you wanted to. It's your materials, it's up to you. You're the one take, but we usually make the alert clear that this is why this account's barred, and it will remain that way until the parents clear up their accounts. So like I said, I don't really have a problem so much with other libraries unbarring and checking out materials, but I usually also try to make it clear why we barred that patron. So like I said, that's why I don't think this needs to change so much, but maybe, again, limiting it to local admins is a good thing. I think it's an administrative management decision, not just a frontline staff decision.
And I'm thinking about some of my bans we've had over the years. I don't know that we actually went in and, we banned them through a letter, and then there's a trespass warrant. Are there accounts?
Half the people
I
that
have.
trespass
After I had a
don't have
knife pulled on me.
account.
Do I?
I did after I had a knife pulled on me.
Yeah. I'm thinking half the people that I've actually banned from the library and trespass don't even have an account with us. I mean, they just come and use my Wi-Fi in the first place.
Or they already owed us $400.
Yeah, so there are people
We did
that,
that too.
yeah,
There is that, yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's part of it. Technically, if they've got huge bills, there's not really a need.
There's no need to
Bar
bar the
the
account
account.
anyway, yeah.
Right, it's already.
There's already.
It takes care of itself.
Check out to them.
So, I mean, if anything, if we want to update the policy, we could simply say, like you guys were saying, that if you want to allow someone in your library to check out your materials, you're welcome to lift it, and then if you have no way of contacting the other library, and there's no note saying why,
Yeah.
so that makes more of a home rule.
I think that's pretty big. Honestly, we've seen that, the families
Yeah.
coming in and your notes, all we need, we're not letting them try.
Yeah.
Like, I would never unbar an account from another library to let them. I'd call or apologize and have them come back or go to Morgan County and take care of it, or, But I think if you are saying, if you feel like checking out stuff, I think that could just get too messy with interpreting what you're actually allowed to do. So,
I guess it can be one of those in between the lines, not actually a policy, but up to local. But still your right as a local administrator with your materials, like Monty said.
Yeah.
You can still do it, that's fine. I don't think that has to be policy,
Yeah.
does it?
Right.
I don't think so.
well, and recommendations of notes, like that's.
Yes.
Makes a huge difference with the whole situation. If people are doing that, then information to make your decision of what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, it does happen that every now and then we get a patron comes in and their account's barred, there's no note, there's no reason, they don't owe any money, there's nothing saying he was a public flasher or threatened someone with a knife, I mean, there's nothing. It's like, I don't know why he's barred. And a lot of times we'll call the home library and they'll be like, I don't know why he's barred, so.
All right. Any of the other permissions you wanted to talk over? Or updates to permission? Well, things that we missed.
I think overall it's reasonable that cataloging functions are limited to the cataloging logins, and the admin functions are limited to the admin login.
One additional benefit actually that came out of it was awareness of how training works for catalogers.
Yeah.
The fact that Cat 2s can be locally trained by their Cat 1s. A lot of people were not aware of that.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people go ahead and take the online class.
Mhm.
So we're definitely seeing an uptick in people who are fully prepared
Right.
to manage materials now.
Can I ask a question about Nancy's concern?
Mhm.
I mean, she is the director of the library, so technically, wouldn't she have access to any of the passwords or whatnot she would need to do any of these functions per se? So is it just the annoyance of having to like log in multiple times? Or, I'm just trying to understand, because there's been a lot of outrage over this, and I'm just not exactly sure where that lies. Like, why? Is that a
I
bad
have,
question?
I have heard people say that it's because it's a hassle to have to switch between profiles. Personally, I use 3 different profiles every day, so I'm used to switching a lot. But for anybody who is a Cat 1 who needs circulation permissions, we can add those with a help desk ticket.
And Cat 1s have basic circulation permissions. It's only like the override stuff that you don't have. So like you can check stuff out, check stuff in. People, like most of your normal circulation things, Cat 1s can already do.
And frankly, the combination of a Cat 1 with a Circ 1 profile is truly impressive at what it can do. The only thing it really can't do is set up your library. And that's the sort of thing that probably you really shouldn't need to be logging in to do every day. You know, hopefully you're not moving shelving locations every week.
I think it's really important that these things be clear. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to minimize why people are upset about it. It's just I wasn't sure, because there for a brief period of time, it was like every day I was like, who keeps changing the permissions? And I was just kind of like,
Well,
why is everybody freaking out? It's
I
not
don't
that
think
big
it
of a
was
deal.
ever made clear, there is no profile that can do everything. There was never intended to be, there never should be, won't be. But since 2.79, one of the last upgrades in the last few years, you can get multiple profiles on your account should you desperately need them. And that's kind of what Anna was talking about, help desk ticket. You can't add anything to your Cat 1s because no one can edit those except us, but if it's really important, we haven't really talked about how this would all work and everything, but you can apply multiple profiles to the same account, so you're not logging in all the time. But we don't want there to just be this profile that anyone who has it can now do everything.
Superpowers.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Only you have those.
Only you have the superpowers. With great power comes great
responsibility.
Yeah, well, and you'll be glad to know I don't start the client most days, so I can't break too much.
Well, thank you for that clarification, because I just wasn't exactly sure why it was such a large concern, so I just want to make sure I understood that.
Could be a training issue. If someone's not aware, you could be logged in as, you know, because that thinks they have to shut down the client, redo it, and then they want to do something else if it's side by side, you know.
Yeah, people don't realize that new user switching thing in the admin menu is very
Yes.
fast.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That doesn't take time at all.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure why they added the temporary option, because it is extremely temporary.
Yeah.
But if you click permanent, you can say, well, staff, I think is what it's called now.
Yeah.
It'll stay that way until you go back. So,
Yeah, temporary
Well, it's
staff
just
or
a quick
permanent.
Yeah.
yeah, permanent really does replace your account, so there is no going back. The old
Oh.
account's logged out.
Okay,
That's
so
that
staff, let's do that
temporary,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, for most of us, at my whole library, it's either observe or, I mean, like I was saying, last night, I'm in its local admin, it's generally when I'm setting up a workstation or it's even about config, admin things that forces you to.
Well, you can add a cat 2 to a circ 1 if you've got someone who just needs to do some basic holdings maintenance, and any local admin can create that combination, so. There are definitely options to make sure that everything's configured the way that
We are,
really works.
we are relying on you to make sure they have actually had the Cat 2 training and not just making it easier to do something.
Because it's a lot nicer when people know what they're doing. For everybody.
For everyone, yes. So is there any sort of motion we need to make on the changes that have been made to the permissions or?
If you want to go ahead and okay the implementation, I will be releasing an explanatory document about it so that everybody has a chance to prep. I'll try to work it into the trainings this week, and then we'll be making the transition with the upgrade.
So, is there a motion to accept the profile permissions as given?
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
And I will see what I can do about coming up with some better training information on how to set up profiles and access them.
Yeah, it might be as simple as they just didn't know that was.
Yeah, I know. I remember when I first started using them, like, I'm not sure about this. Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
I never use it because I switch so infrequently that it's not a thing that's normally done. But judging from the email, there's people somewhere on our staff that need constantly.
Mhm.
Okay, so that brings us to, well, any other discussion announcements, et cetera? No? So next meeting on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2017.
I do have one after this real quick.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
There we go. Are adjourned.
Who seconded it, Mary?
Yeah.
Have a great. Always here.
Holiday dinner. That thing.
We're not from Vancouver.